What is going on, everyone? Chris with Journals, Comics, and Pop Culture. And before I can even introduce myself, I gotta giggle here because everyone is talking about Dazzler, folks. There's probably a bunch of videos already up on YouTube, but I want to approach this from a little bit of a different perspective today and really talk about what it means to be a speculator. If you aren't subscribed to the channel, guys, please take some time to do so. Check out all the links in the description below as well, including the link to today's sponsor, popculturezone.com. So before we get into the juiciness of today's video, I'm going to take less than 60 seconds to talk about popculturezone.com. Popculturezone.com is your go-to online comic shop focusing on hot new comics and incentive variants, CGC graded keys, and tons of other pop culture inventory, including toys, statues, and other collectibles, all available at competitive prices. Don't miss out on taking advantage of their spend $25 for bargain deals option. How does this work? Simply add $25 of product to your cart and receive special deals and discounted prices on countless other inventory. Pop Culture Zone ships all over the US, and for anyone buying raw comics, they offer the flat rate shipping charge of only $5. Taxes are also excluded from all purchases, excluding New Jersey residents. Make sure to check out their website link below and also the link to their eBay store, where they have held a 100% positive feedback score from thousands of reviews, so be sure to follow them there as well. And also, if you are in need of top tier pressing at extremely affordable prices, make sure you check out their link for pressing services. All right, everyone, let's get into this. So you may have already seen the memes floating around there. Taylor Swift was seen at a football game on Sunday with Ryan Reynolds and other known cast members of the new Deadpool film, including one Hugh Jackman. So what does this mean? Well, it must mean that Dazzler is showing up in the new Deadpool film, and of course Taylor Swift is playing the character. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time talking about if this is true or not. I mean, hey, look, there's valid reasons to believe that this could be the case. All right, I think it would be awesome, but I'm going to talk about a little bit about what it's done to this book on the market over the last couple of days, right? But I'm also going to talk about what does this mean about how we perceive speculation and what exactly is the speculative market. So we're going to look at two books. We're going to look at X-Men 130, which is her first appearance, and then we're going to look at her first solo series, Dazzler #1, which I just sold a couple. So to those that just purchased them, kudos on you, because the book is now worth much more. I was already selling it under market, by the way, guys. And I do think I have a couple more, but I don't have them up for sale. And I'm not pushing this because I don't want to get pulled into the height of, oh, I'm pumping and dumping these books. But just for transparency, I think I sold most of them over these last couple of weeks. So good thing I did that. All right, so big shout out to Cover Price here. We're going to go right into eBay. Cover Price does take some time to update their sales data, so I'm not sure if they're going to have any recent sales, but we're going to click on this eBay tab, okay, and we're going to go to, it brings up the issue, which is really awesome, but we're going to toggle down to sold items here, and ended recently. I mean, this book, look, it's the third right now as I'm recording this, guys. This book is just selling off the wall. Now, this is what I am going to do with Cover Price's data. Let's go ahead and go into sales data for graded books, okay? So last sales were in August and September for 9.8s. You got one going for 13, 20, and a 9.8, 2,000, man, 2,000, 2,300. Let's go over here and see what the most recent 9.8 sold for. Let's see if we can get a 9.8 that sold today. 2,000. So it's not like it's getting a big jump in price. Let's see, we got a 9.6 here that just ended for $550. That there wasn't a best offer, or you would see a line through that, so they did buy for the $550. 9.6. We do, oh, look at that. We do have more recent sales updated for 9.6s, so 545, 600. But, you know, 550, 520. So the one thing that's really important to notice here is that at least since a couple of months, so far with these couple of sales, they're not jumping that much, but you guys could go back even to down here in May where the book was selling in the 300 range. But remember, we already had speculation. We already had speculation about Taylor Swift showing up as Dazzler. So that's why over the last couple of months, this book has already jumped. But now we're seeing a jump. We may not be seeing any huge increases in the last couple of graded books in terms of price, but we are seeing an increase in units sold. I mean, these are flying off the shelves over the last couple of days. Look at this. Raw copies, graded copies, signed copies. Let's look at Dazzler #1 as well and see what that's doing, especially in terms of units on the market. All right, so we got a 9.8 sold just a few days ago at 180 with the current fair market value of 197. Now let's pull this up on eBay and let's go to sold items. Let's go to #1s. Let's see if we get any graded copies. Any high grade graded copies of Dazzler #1. Oh, well, we got a 9.6 here selling for 73. Let's check what. So about the same. Well, although you did have an $80 good on cover price for really staying on top of their sales. Anyways, folks, let's go back to eBay one more time, and we can still see here again, October 3rd. You do get in the algorithm some of the 130s, but you still see a ton of Dazzler #1s being sold. I mean, October 3rd, October 3rd, October 2nd, October 2nd, down to, October 1st, which was game day. I mean, look at this. Oh my, October 2nd, just flying off the shelf, both of them. 130 and #1's coming up in this search. Look at this, people buying 5-6 book lots. This is nuts. It is absolutely nuts. Look, you got 5 copies for 127. That's a lot than what I was selling my near mint copies for. That's for sure. A lot of 6 for 120. That's definitely more than what I was selling my near mint copies for. All right, so this is what I want this video to focus on, folks. The book is moving like crazy because we get speculative information. And I'm not talking about speculation in terms of speculating on the book. We are speculating that because Taylor Swift showed up with these other group of people at a football game, we're speculating that that means that she's going to be in this film playing this character. Now, what does that mean for the speculative market, though? Anybody that is buying this book right now is not a speculator. And that's the point that I want to drill home today. Another thing that we also got recently was the X-Men news. We got, and I don't know if it's been confirmed by a reputable source, there's been talks that Marvel Studios is trying to find their creative teams for the X-Men movie, their writers, screenwriters, etc., etc. If you get this information and you're going out buying X-Men books because of that, if you got this information due to Taylor Swift showing up with these people at this football game, and you're going out and buying her books, you are not a speculator. You're not a speculator whatsoever. You are not speculating on these books because the speculators have already bought the books, and the speculators are the ones selling them to you right now. The speculators, let's go down. Let's go down. What was I showing you guys here? Where were they? The speculators bought a bunch of copies and are now selling them to you in lots. If you are buying these books now, you are a comic book consumer. And I'm not going to sit here and pick apart why you're buying them. I could sit here and say, oh, well, it's FOMO. You got the fear of missing out. Maybe it's just an impulse buy. Maybe it is, you're reacting on emotions. I could say all of those things, but I'm not going to put any one of you in a box. I'm not going to blame you for doing something wrong. I'm not going to accuse you of being what's bad for the hobby because you're speculating on FOMO. Or excuse me, not even speculating. You're acting on FOMO. I'm not going to do that. You guys could sit and think about, why are you making these purchasing decisions? Do you really care about the character? Are you just so excited about this character that even if the demand increasing like it is going to drive the prices up, even if that happens, maybe you are willing to pay that because you actually care about this book, but you're not a speculator. And if you think that you have some type of fear of missing out and you are speculating on it right now, and that's why you're making the purchasing decisions, I'm going to tell you to take heed. Because what are the themes? If you're speculating on this book right now, you're too late to the party. And if you're going to try to sell this book in the long term, there is a much higher chance that you are going to lose money. Now, here's where you can win out on this. And I talk about this often. There's the steps. There's the the rumor mill. Then there's the announcements. If we get an announcement or a trailer that Taylor Swift is indeed playing Dazzler in this film, in Deadpool 3, and say we get a behind the scenes on set image, or we get that announcement, or we see her in a Dazzler costume, boy oh boy, I mean, talk about FOMO, the market's going to go crazy. Even more crazy than what it's doing now. So, are you completely at a loss right now? No. But if you want to be in the speculator game, in the game of speculating, in order to flip, in order to make money off of your investment, especially for books like, modern books of characters that aren't that important, if you're doing it when we get these types of things, you are not a speculator. A speculator doesn't need the rumor mill. A speculator doesn't need the announcements or the trailers. The speculator is ahead of all of you guys. The speculator knew when Fox resorted back to the ownership of Disney that was the time to start looking at X-Men books and X-Men keys. Or even before that, because how many years was Disney and Marvel Studios trying to get the rights to Fox? That was when speculators were trying to buy up all these books. You see what I'm saying here? If you want to be a speculator that doesn't temporarily inflate the price of a book on the secondary market, you have to be way ahead of the curve before anybody else is talking about it. I talked about this with Cosmic MCU, and there's still time to speculate on Cosmic MCU. Quasar, because we haven't heard anybody talking about Quasar. That's just one example. Now, to finalize on the Dazzler thing, yeah, if you're buying this book or these two books right now, then you still have opportunity to short-term flip and make money. But here's one thing that I will say if you want to ask the question, but Chris, what about these books long-term? Well, Dazzler #1 has never been a really high-valued book. And Dazzler hasn't been an A-list X-Men character. But I think Dazzler is a solid, fun character. Dazzler's first appearance is a solid Bronze Age key comic book that I think after the ebb and flow of all this crazy hype, it's going to be a solid book that's going to continue to increase in value over time. And I think Dazzler #1, while there's plenty of them out there, folks, I mean, it's a Bronze Age book, but still, even in Bronze Age, I mean, a lot of Bronze Age books have a much higher print run than modern books. At least, over the last 20 years, modern books. I'm not talking about anything in the 90s or late copper stuff, right? So even the Dazzler #1, if you're buying the Dazzler #1 in a high grade for under $20, I do think that could still be a solid buy to where 5 to 10 years from now, that book could be worth twice as much as that, $50 maybe. I think that if Dazzler end up being played by Taylor Swift in the MCU, while there may be a lot of FOMO hype around it, that could die down and can really kind of pop a bubble. In the long term, what do I say about these movies? These movies are here forever, and Taylor Swift is already such an iconic individual in real life with her music. That, her going down in the record books and being etched in the Marvel Studios, legacy as being this character 5-10 years from now. People can really look to that and say that's an iconic character. Now, then you got to take into consideration, is she only showing up as this character in Deadpool 3, though? Is it just going to be a cameo where maybe Dazzler will never show up in the main MCU ever again? Or if she does, maybe it's a different cast member, just like possibly John Krasinski might not be playing the MCU's actual Reed Richards. So those are all things that you need to take into consideration, guys. But again, if you want to be speculating for the sole purpose to try to short-term flip or even long-term, that matters too, don't be late to the party. If you're waiting for these rumors and announcements, you're late to the party, and more often than not, there is a higher ratio of you losing out in the short term than winning out in terms of ROI. So that's the video for today, folks. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Again, make sure you guys are subscribed. If you're new to the channel, click the like button. Drop your comments because it really does help out with the algorithms. Thank you all for watching. Be well, and until next time.